Call the meeting in order. Okay, not seeing any public here. I assume we have no public comments. Do we have any announcements from the board they'd like to bring up at the moment?
Got a few just quick things I wanna mention, try to keep this organized here. One, we just had the Shamrock Scramble, the first event, here this past weekend. Of course, you all know we added the second day because of the demand. I'm not kidding you, we probably could have had 4 or 5 days. It's the amount of demand for everything we're doing right now is like something we've never seen. We had essentially 150 people both days. If you can bring up that one picture. Everything went great. Feedback was great. Of course, that's great revenue for us. We got some cool drone footage that I haven't got back yet, but I had a drone out that was up above when we were taking off, and he came back and did some stuff at the end. Should be some great promotional stuff when we get it in. We had that. That was day one, and then this is a totally different group of people on day two, and that's not everybody because there was people scattered all over the place, but. Yeah, went really well. I think that kind of set the tone for the year for our events, and really couldn't be happier. And everyone, I had a ton of people asking, when's your next one? What else you got this year or whatever. So kudos to Michael, Tim, Deanna, Trevor, Sydney. They did a great job, and it's a lot easier when we have the whole team here. Trying to do this with, the broken team like we did a lot last year was a lot, but much easier. Next thing, today I went and did a tour of the first two T building. They're gonna move in this next week, or no, I'm sorry, they're moving in this week. They've got pretty much everything done. It looks awesome. If you haven't been out, it's man, it makes that area look so much different, so much better, more kind of up to date. That he did ask me to try to get with this group and see. He wants to invite everyone out for a tour before their grand opening. To come out and look at it, talk about some of the stuff they're doing. So he said anytime in April, and I can send an email out and coordinate it through email, but I think it'd be great to have you guys and some of the staff out to look at that place. It's a great addition to our golf program. They also are going to host at McDonald's, they're down at their area, the drive chicken putt qualifier for the drive chicken putt that they have at the Masters each year. That's in the end of June, so they're going to host that. That's pretty cool. We did it in Texas one time, or they did in, so it's pretty neat. They've already got full signups for that. So
Will this be the first time that's in Wichita?
I think so. I think so. So yeah, if anything, it might have happened at Tex when they first started, maybe the first year they had it or something like that years ago, but not since it's become well known what it is. I think this is the first time. Tex Turmoil, that tournament's coming up. He's gonna talk a little bit more about that in a second, but there's one of the Shamrock players right there. Saturday.
I don't know if I'd call him players from Saturday.
Participant. But the Tex Turmoil, we've added that day too. I don't know how many we're at. We're basically full both days there as well. So that'll be a good weekend. That's the contract. We've got security cameras. We finally got Wi-Fi set up in all the clubhouses. So we've got security cameras that were just delivered. Probably on Friday, Trevor and I are going to go around and get all those installed and linked up and working. So finally going to have some cameras set up. Boy, a lot of stuff here. We are fully prepared for the rate increase. Area's working on getting all the members. We're working on making sure everything's set up in CPS for the green fees. So April 1st, everything's going to be ready to roll. So two more. Tomorrow we have I'm trying twice a year to have a kickoff staff meeting and kind of an end of the year recap, kind of what can we do better for next year meeting. So tomorrow here, we're having our meeting. It's all staff. It's pros, assistant supers, and then all the admin staff. So we have a lot to cover. It's all, I think, pretty positive. So looking forward to getting everyone together and syncing up before the season really starts.
What time is that?
10:30 p.m.
In case somebody wants to drop in, that'd be welcome. I assume.
Yeah, you are. I don't want to say no. I want to make sure staff can speak freely. I don't want them to feel like they're maybe don't want to say something because, you know what I mean? So if you want to come in, I'm not saying you can't. I do feel like when it's just staff, they're a little bit more open and I want to hear if there's issues or complaints, or problems. So not saying you can't, absolutely. I don't want to turn it into a board meeting. You know, I want to make sure it's relaxed and everyone's comfortable voicing their opinions. The last thing here, Folds of Honor, our tournament, we're bringing it back on Memorial Day, which is May 26th. Michael had a great idea of this year, every tee box is going to have a sign from a fallen soldier, someone that was killed in battle, and it's going to have a picture and the story of these heroes. And I think we've got some connections that we've been working with to get the stories and the bios and the pictures and everything. So we're going to work on doing that. I'm in contact with Folds of Honor right now. I'm going to work on trying to get 5 sponsorships for $1,000 a piece. That money will go straight to Folds of Honor, not to us. And I have no doubt we'll fill up the tournament. But if there's any context that you guys know of someone that's, you know, that maybe would have interest in being a sponsor, please let me know. I think, I don't know if you know much about that organization. I could probably speak a little more to it, what they do. I think you probably know.
Yeah, so what they do is families of fallen service members or first responders, they provide scholarship funds for their direct dependents, for their children and things like that to help them get education.
So,
Yeah, one of the best things about that, if I can just put another word in, is we used to have a tournament, Folds of Honor tournament, and let's say you give $100, 98 of those dollars go to out to who they want it to go out to. There's not a big, you know, kickoff where somebody in administration takes a certain percentage or this or that. A lot of the money that you give actually goes where it's supposed to go. It's a very good charity.
I've spoken with Dan Rooney, who kind of put together Folds of Honor. He's out of Oklahoma City, and then Tony, I can't think of his last name. He's the kind of a rep for this area for Folds of Honor. So he sent me a ton of stuff to try to help promote and get this together. So yeah, my point is, if you know anyone or have any ideas on ways to increase the donation that we can make to Folds of Honor, please let me know.
The designees for the teams, for the individual, is that fine to be local persons, or is that?
I would like to start with local, but no, I mean, you know, we can do more than one. I think it sounds easier than it is.
Oh, yeah.
Information. So I think if we can get 18, then I think we will. I think we may already have it. I've got to contact them tomorrow. I would like to do local just because some people may know families, whatever, it means more, but not necessarily. That's all I've got.
Anybody have anything, any further comments on the announcements?
Hey, Jessica, how much are you paying in terms of showing off?
It's $100 per person. And then that's all we have. For another team, yeah, another person that includes prizes, a green piece of cards, we had free beer, we had some gift bags that we put together, so.
Mostly all tournaments about the same price, you think?
Yeah, the 36 hole challenge is a little bit more if you're playing 36 holes.
Oh, I see.
The couples tournament's 150, if you're playing 2 days over the weekend.
Further comment? We move on to approval of minutes. I did get mine, so I assume everybody got a copy. If I would have it.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes.
We have a second.
Make a second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Category for fee finances, around, but make a comment on that, as going over it, it's likely that I was surprised that was as bad as I anticipated.
Yeah, and then most of that is because we had tournament fees coming in early. I would say we did last year too, so it's not all different, but yeah, if you want to go to, all right, yeah, so this only goes through February, which we know we didn't have any weather at all until March, so. Let me.
Yeah, I
Okay. So I'll just go through it quick. Obviously, we're way behind. Last year wasn't nearly as bad as this year. Total rounds were 8,000 behind. It is what it is. I mean, like those months are just kind of a crapshoot. So when we're not open, we can't have people playing golf. February alone was 6,000 of those 8,000 rounds. Last year was pretty decent, and this year we were close. We got a long way to go. Not too worried about the rounds, obviously more worried about the revenue and making sure that financially we're in a good position. Cart rentals, we're 13,000 behind. Work to get out of that. Food and beverage, we're 20,000 behind, which he's going to talk a little bit more about food and beverage and the sales that we've had since we've been open. So I think we will definitely blow that away by the end of the year. Driving range, we're down 10,000 between the three ranges. And then merchandise sales, we're down quite a bit. Owen's been in the golf courses. So the key stat right here, total revenue, this is just through. That's through January. Well, you have you have this financial in front of you. This goes through February as well. Altogether, we are, I think it was three. Sorry. It's just slow there. Bring it up. Oh, so we're 270. No, that's behind.
85, 554, so yeah, you're 180.
Yeah, so we're behind from last year. Obviously, we knew we would be, but I think the amount of demand that we have with the increases that we're about to implement, I will tell you with members, Darius and I were looking at it, we have lost nearly 70 members, but we've gained almost more than that. We've gained 80 or 90. So we did have the influx of dropouts after we made that decision, but we've gained several. So
Basically, just tit for tat, category for category, or
pretty close. One thing we've had a lot of people jump to a couples membership, convert over. That was brought up. I guess that was heard, that rumor spread, that couples is the best deal we have. So
Is there verification on?
yeah, we provide ID and there's that same address on. So that's not really, most of them are not two people converting to one, it's someone adding someone on membership, I think, for the most part. So they went from a single to a couple. Realistically, that's a little bit more money for us, and I doubt that second person is probably going to play a ton if they have property.
if it's somebody they're trying to get to play golf, that's a good way to pick up something.
Yeah, so not too concerned. Financially, we're it's not where we want to be, but there's really nothing we could have done about it at this point. So looking at the project funds, we have nearly $1 million, 850,000 in the big fund. The cart fund is still sitting good. The equipment fund, we have purchased a few items that we had planned on this year that's come out of that, and there's not been a transfer into that. So that number is maybe not far behind because it was the 3 months that need to be put in, or December, January, February. There wasn't a lot of place, so it's a little bit better than what it was, maybe not too much. Clubhouse fund, we still have the same amount there, and then the grounds fund. One thing I have to do, start working on by the end of the week, is I have to go to council and get approval to essentially move some of this money into that money, or into the project. So I'm not saying we can't spend money right now, but to get it into those buckets, and once it's in that bucket, that frees me up to go. I don't have to go to council for each individual thing. So we'll talk in a minute about some of the projects. Maybe I'll take some notes and work on that. But that's my next thing with council, is to get that money coming over. Which they expect. They want to, so it's not.
So you would go probably to the equipment fund and the grounds fund?
Equipment fund, ground, yeah, I'm fine with clubhouse. We have a little bit we have to do the furnace here. We got enough to cover what we need there. Cart fund's fine, so yeah, equipment and grounds. Grounds would cover the driving range project here. Any of the grass that we need to buy. First equipment's equipment, but yeah.
Question on cart fund. We were doing that a few years ago. We were discussing whether to go 4 or 5 years. what's it look like as of now, whether we're gonna turn it 4 or 5?
And they're not bad. They're holding up really well. Now another full season, that's a lot of rounds, so we'll see where we're at the end of this year.
Yeah.
Right now, we have 5 year with the option for it, so we can move that as we go. I mean, right now, I'm extremely happy with the cars we've had. What issues we've had that have been obvious,
Some of them,
neglect, someone hitting something, whatever, that's gonna happen, but. As
Greg,
far as the carts themselves, we really haven't had any issues. It's been, there was a small recall. They were here before the recall letter went out. They were already here with the parts to fix them all. They did it immediately. So it was nothing major. It's still a brake or an accelerator issue, but, yeah, I've been extremely okay with cars.
any other questions regarding financial?
No, it doesn't make any of us feel any better, but just all the other clubs in town too. We were talking about it the other day, January, February, we call them golf days, but it was like 10 golf days.
Yeah.
January, February.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
They were in the first week of February, basically. That's it. Yeah, it's been rough. I was talking to, unfortunately, it was the other day, Stan. To me, January, February bonus. If you give around that money, it is what it is, but don't count on it. Count it as zero, budget off that.
We're looking at the projections for the full year. What kind of impact is this?
Honestly, I could see us ending up really close to where we were at last year. I think we'll make it up what we're behind. But it's gonna be hard to blow last year out of the water if we start too much behind. So, but I think we'll make up and be really close to where we were at last year.
Yeah, that dues increase along will get us.
So, yeah.
Pretty much.
Monetarily, you're probably about pretty close to the same. Rounds wise, you're probably be down. Unfortunately, in this business, if you miss a round, rarely do you get it back.
I'll be honest, I'm a little different. I come from the private side. Number of rounds mean nothing. I mean, if we have less rounds and more money, that's better. The course is not going to be very bad, and we're still in better shape. So, that's a big thing downtown. It's all about how many rounds.
Well, understanding the price increase was trying to get the 200,000 per year increase. And with slowdown we had from January, February, can we really leverage that extra money from increasing?
I mean, you don't count on January, February for kind of rounds anyway. I mean, those are going to be your slow down.
No, I know that. I'm just saying that when we were planning on how much money we're going to make in 2025, could we improve that slow
And also,
January, February?
it's not just revenue, it's controlling expenses too. So we can cut expenses. It's all about what's left, after everything. So if we control our expenses, we can earn a little more that way as well as these.
And now our expenses are higher than they were last year too, so.
We've done a lot trying to prep for this year, get ready. So, yeah, we also did a lot of pre-orders with vehicles and things that saved us money, but it hit the budget at a different time.
You did get it 25?
Yeah.
I remember we talked about that.
Some
pre-orders.
There was some that hit late this year, but yeah, a lot of them did early this year, so, yeah, I mean, we have a lot of fixed expenses that we do, but I think we're gonna be able to control those expenses pretty well this year.
Okay,
I don't know.
that's what my concern was.
Put a category in there for, revenue for the systems that we're putting in, just make sure that money's there. Just save it back to it, prepay or however we want to do it to make sure we stay ahead of that bondage.
Yeah, so my plan is to get a couple months into the actual house season to make sure that we're ready. And I don't bring it to this board about, do we want to go ahead and pay our duty? I'm definitely in favor of that.
I am too.
I would rather.
You never know what's gonna come on, you're gonna have it, you wanna get it in there to save it, so you make sure you pay it, you cannot default.
I think that's the primary point. Secondary point is that's a really good look to the council, everybody, everybody, the whole city, if we made a point of agreement to pay this and we're paying ahead of time. So, yeah, I do want to wait just a little bit, give it a couple months, see where we're at.
I suggest you. Any further?
Issue in November, you had 20 years later.
Right.
That already happened.
Any further issue or any comments regarding the finance and rounds update?
Stop sharing that. Thank you.
If not, I'm gonna jump forward a little bit here. Aaron was kind enough, I see you come out to that meeting, and I know he's been having long days. If we could hear from him.
Yeah, well, I've got irrigation update in the middle, so you, Darren, yeah, if you want to speak to those two things, that'd be great.
I appreciate everything you're doing, Aaron.
Well, I just have a seat right here.
Have a seat, just take and sit down. Not even for you.
Sorry, I'll leave it.
I'm good. I'm on the stage.
I got a bid, this is on the wells, from Weiniger Drilling, for $124,960.
What, let's back up and talk about the situation.
Right, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Back in December, some people with the water department requisitioned me and Jesse to a meeting. I've got two wells at the golf course. One off of number 2 and one by my shop. The one by my shop, I'm responsible for. Civil Park is responsible. The other one, I send the numbers over to the water department. It's the city's well. They're taking that well from me. Meaning they're taking them water rights, which is 115 acre feet. So I have 115 acre feet there and 135 acre feet at the other well. Got 2 water rights at that one. One is 100 and one is 35. So that kind of puts us in a predicament of pulling water off of one well, which is not a good thing. So the city people are kind enough to allow us time to figure this out. What we can do. So they're allowing us to keep using that water until we figure everything out. And then talking with the people at the state, I need 1,200 gallons per minute to run the new irrigation well, both irrigation systems. Not all the time, but at peak times, I'm gonna need a lot of water. I had no idea that this was a part of NITS, because you always turn in your reports once a year, and it's just on acre feet. They changed something in the 90s from what I was told. Now, you're also only permitted so many gallons per minute. We're only permitted off of that well on my shop, 500 gallons per minute.
Now, I'm gonna tell you, we're probably all in violation. I've never heard that. And I'm assuming that's probably the same. I don't know how you get around it. I mean, we have that. I don't know.
Yeah.
And when you ask them about it, they kind of just, they're more concerned about total water, not, but it is part of it. You know, it's like, and I don't like that. I don't want any way they can come back and say, well, you're doing this wrong. I want to do it right, but they don't have an answer. I don't have an answer.
And it is, I know some things, but it's still confusing, very confusing. And then dealing with the state, a long process. And nobody seems to ever want to start. Talk to them, well, let's wait. Nobody wants to start today. So I've started by just contacting drilling companies, just at least get my end ready. Sergeant Drilling came out. They haven't given me a bid, but they just want to do one well. Because need to back up again. Okay, everybody remember when we recased the well over on number 2? We were not told that that was just a temporary fix. We were told that was a fix. That's just a temporary fix. That well is not going to last. Yeah. If we'd have known that, we would have re-drilled the well. So anyway, that would kind of put us in a predicament too. So everybody's suggestion was just to move our water rights over to that other well. But I suggested we don't need to do that because we got to still drill an extra well to get a jockey. So that maintains my system. So it's not a big pump. Keep turning on and off my system. So I had Sergeant came out and they told me anywhere from $250,000 to $500,000, what it would cost. Yeah. There are different ways. One way was, I can't remember the way of drilling, but that one was the 500,000. I said, He said, oh, you know, you're looking at, not to, God, not, but I never got a straight answer. It would start at 80,000, and by the time he was done, he was at 250,000. Meininger Drilling came out and he suggested we can drill within a 300-foot radius, actually 600 feet, 300 feet anyway from my well. And we still have to apply for a permit, but there is no reports that have to go out to the neighborhood, and tell them anything. And we can drill as many holes as we want. I mean, it costs us for each time we have to drill a well. Because his suggestion is 3 10-inch wells with 40-horse submersible motors with drives. At first, he thought he could just use one drive, but he can't. You've got to use individual drives. That'll pump it all over to the pump house, to the existing irrigation. One thing good about this way versus one hole is we're not sucking the water down below in one spot. So you'll less cave-ins, less, will be dropping the water level down because you're kind of, you know, taking a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit there. Which also allows us to get up to that 1,200 gallons per minute easier and a lot cheaper than one pump, one motor. And then a fourth one, the 6-inch with a smaller, you wrote it, 2-horse motor for the maintenance pump to keep the system pressurized. And
You utilize the existing hole for that.
now, you mean the one that's in the ground?
That's one.
No, because the problem with that one is it's encased in concrete. Well, I don't know on that one. We might be able to do it off of one of them, you know, for one of them.
Well, I mean, just use that on the old hole for your maintenance pump.
Oh, yeah, maybe. I don't
Yeah,
know.
those three, if you get 500 gallons, you can use one of those maintenance pump.
Yeah, I could ask him and see. Didn't think about that, but yeah, that would be a possibility. I don't know, but I can ask. His total bill was 120, basically 125,000. Now, that's not getting, that's just drilling the holes. That's not running electricity to the pump house, and that is not running pipe to the pump houses. But that's the,
These 3 wells, we really quite a distance apart.
well, they have to be within that radius of, yeah. So I don't really know how far apart. I mean, I don't really have much. I would, because I've got trees to the one side, but we still could put it out in the trees. The only problem is that's not our property. It is, but it's Parks Department's. Behind me, and then to the side of me in that opening area of 16 would be one of them. I don't know if anybody's been over to where the irrigation is going on, but that's where they've got everything set out.
Yeah.
That's not open area. Yeah. It's a trash, you know, it's a waste area. And I like the fact too, because my concern with losing the other well was if I lose this pump, I'm out for a while. Where if I can still run off of 2 wells, you know, these 2 submersibles. I might not be able to run everything, but I can still run my greens, you know, while we, you know, if we have to replace some. And these types of wells, pumps are a lot easier to get than some big 100-horse, you know, turbine.
On those submersible, what's the capacity? 500 gallons.
He didn't put that down, but I think it is 500 or 500 to get us to the 1,200 gallons. Yeah, I think it was 400 gallons.
But what we're doing, Steve mentioned in the beginning, they're doing a little bit of time to figure this out. So we are researching, we're talking to people that I've got something more than I do, but still, this is a complicated process. So we're talking to people that specialize in this field. We've got someone that works in the city. We've got other resources we're still digging in. So very complicated, and it's something that I'm No, absolutely, I've never been out of back over the well. So I'm gonna deal for the potential ponds or water, city water or whatever, but, yeah, that's where we're at. I think the takeaway is while we're trying to figure out and, welcome to good input, try to figure out the best path of action, we just need to, have a financial hit coming forward for this, which, going back to that project fund, so something I definitely need to work into that ground, so.
That brings up two questions. One, the east hole, where the water department controls the rights. Get the rights moved to the west. You can. Now, you don't want to freeze yourself out, because I don't want to see you strap yourself to 135 acre feet of a year. You can't make it.
Well,
I don't think.
well, honestly, I talked to the state people and she's like, well, you're not giving any new water rights.
Well, I know, but the city transferred the rights off the east hole to the west.
They want them rights.
Yeah, that's what got us in this. They want the price back.
They want to use them themselves.
That 30 million gallons is not going to make or break the city. I don't care. what I'm saying.
This was
We've had 3 meetings on it.
this whole situation, the way it's been working, I think 1970 something, it was kind of a handshake agreement and no one has any documentation on anything. It's just, it's in their name and we're using it. And now they probably said, we need that back. And literally, it was the day or the day after we got the approval for the irrigation.
But the other question becomes, you did the research. At the pump company, Weininger, did they query with Toro to see if they could, I mean, those have to match, but you gotta be able to control those off of your controllers, right?
Yeah, that's another animal that we haven't gotten to yet. I mean, they can do whatever. Toro can do whatever. Toro can tie to it, or Weininger could probably tie to it.
I'm sure Toro's gonna want it.
Well, Toro's gonna want what they want, and, I mean,
But you gotta have what will control your system. And interface to, they won't interface.
well, most of them though will anymore. Like the Dantos that we got right now will interface with it. Some people don't like it, but
Looking at 125,000 just to put the 3 holes in. And you gotta have electricity at each one of them. You gotta run the lines back to your main pump. So any ballpark, you're looking a little over 200 before you're done.
and we'd have to do that no matter who drills the hole.
Right, yeah, I understand. I'm just trying to get a number in my head.
I mean, my gut reaction, I mean, it's like, cost is final decision, but if we're putting in this $9.5 irrigation system, do it right.
Even if money was no object, trying to figure out the best way to do this.
Yeah.
Not.
Well, and here's the main thing that we still have to get approval from the state. They're not in any quick hurry, and then even talking to some of the people with the city, they're being helpful, but correct me if I'm wrong, I don't feel that they're in a big hurry either.
Last thing they told me was, we're working on a master plan, so just stay calm, don't worry about anything. So we get this master plan in the next month or two and we'll see. Well, I need a plan, I mean, I appreciate that, but in 2 months, if you come back and say, okay, our plan says this, you need to go. You need to be ready, so it's hard to.
Must be a drought and help anything.
No.
And then we were discussing this because Jacob was on site today with Landscapes Unlimited, and we were discussing some of the changes and stuff.
Jacob is the main guy with the irrigation.
Yes, and so I had talked to Pete a few months ago about this plan. So he changed a couple things on the design, so now we have 8-inch coming out of both wells. So we'll be good no matter what. But they're gonna set it up to where we will be able to switch. Somewhat.
So they're gonna make the tap to the hole on the east well then?
Well, they'll have to because I need that other well to run the system until,
Yeah, because right now, you're out to lunch.
Right.
They started over, they said,
Yeah.
make a tap.
We're tapping, we're tying into my boat wells like that's what happened.
Everyone in this meeting that we had basically agreed, nothing's gonna happen this year. I don't think you gotta do something tomorrow. I can verbally tell you, you're fine for this year, but just a heads up, you need to start planning it. So it's not like tomorrow, we're not gonna have water. But they come back and say, March of next year, you need to have this figured out.
And with the state, they could, which is one thing nice about city people is they know that I'm dealing with this. They're not gonna do anything until the state helps us too, I feel.
We asked, last year, we had to get a temporary, call it like a permit to
A real allocation.
yeah, move water. Anyway, I got that permit a year after. it was filed. They got like a virtual, but then the permit came in the mail and I didn't know what it was a year later. But that's where the state's at, so.
For different water, they're 2 years.
For the purposes of conversation while we're discussing this acre foot is how they make allocations. Aaron's got 135, so basically acre foot of water is like 125,850, 325,850 gallons. So basically 3 acre foot's a million gallons. So you take his allocation divided by 3, and that's where you're at. So it may be around 40 million gallons. For him to sustain the golf course on the irrigation system we put in, it would be a hard thing to do to run it on 40 million gallons with a sand pipe. So, which is why this becomes critical. What we would do in case of if they took that gallon each, that other 115 acre feet, you're gonna see a deletion of a lot of beds that were put in, which is why in my particular opinion is it's ludicrous to think that the 30 million gallons that you've got on that east side hole over there is going to save the city from a drought. So that's my particular take on it. They don't decide to do something other than maybe put a line into or El Dorado and tap off that lake, which they've already discussed 10 years ago and decided not to do it, which seemed to be a little more feasible to me, but that as it may, in our purposes, we need to have some water. And obviously, the supply of $1.5 million put into a new system that's going to last for the reason that we're doing it. This system should last 50 years because of the style of system that we're putting in.
I agree 100% with you. I don't see the purpose of this. I don't think that this will make or break.
I think takeaway for this group is we got some stuff.
Yeah.
We're figuring out the best way to do that. Get better financially here.
We have the ideal right now where we're gonna get the money. Cut areas here and there, and start putting it back, and not do it until next year. Starts stashing some away.
The kind of what we're doing with that broadband fund, I think that's where that would have to come from, that 850,000 plus this. Or we've got 900,000 in just the main bucket and the ground fund. So I can move whatever I need into that, but that's the purpose of making sure we have that fund available for something like this.
If the purposes are these, I would suggest Jesse and Aaron look into the 3-hole complex over there where we know we have a guarantee as, what the state can do whatever they want. But if you got your 135 acre foot over there, and if you're going to invest $150,000, you better invest it in the one that you got the rights on versus one that's questionable or, and I realize that was a temporary thing, but if we leave that hole to go for a few more years until this is decided on, just go ahead and make your tap to the old well, east side, and use it as long as until this is all cleared up, and if we got to put a new hole over there eventually, that's when we do that. That would be my suggestion.
How many acre feet did you use? You know? Yeah.
Well, there's a big discrepancy out there.
Yeah.
I haven't got
His
an
records
answer.
show just under hundred and ten, their records show 133. That's what she said, and they're still trying. It's kind of weird. It seems like-
And I could have been, and I mean, I'm not saying I was, I kept the right numbers, but I might have.
Well, either way, you're gonna put your big holes over it, one over to your shop, so on your new proposed plan, that becomes a moot point, even if you're over there, because you're not gonna be using 130 out of that.
I think I used, okay, with my numbers, I used about 110, 111 acre feet out of the east well, and I used about 33 acre feet out of the other one. So that's at
You're gonna
145,
change
just to say.
your allocations on the west side is going from 33 acre foot to 135, so.
And that was with me watching it. Not over, I mean, I overwatered because I'm going around turning heads on and then I get a phone call or whatever and the head runs. Some runs for an hour. But when I could help it, I was conscious or conservative with the water.
Worst case scenario, off 135 acre foot on the west one and then qualified off the east, one, drop down to 30 or 40 acre foot over there versus your allocation of 115. You might even be able to work a deal out, but we take half, they can get in. Who knows? I don't know.
See, the other thing too, when you overpump, not only do you pay the penalty, but you lose what you
You lose what
overpump
you go
the
over.
next year.
Yeah.
So if I listen, 135 and I pump 140, then I only get 130 next year. And it can just snowball.
The state went in and changed how they did a few years back. It used to be bank water. And then it got to be, obviously, western Kansas, dragging down an aquifer there. And drought that's going on around here in terms of riverbank, Halstead, what have you, that was. They changed it, so they took away where you bank, no longer bank by conserving water. They just made it a penal thing, where you, if you go over, you lose the amount you went over the next pumping year. And if you continue to do it, they get the right to take your allocations. It gets pretty brutal anymore.
Well, I think for the purpose of this meeting, I mean, we'll continue to figure out how to navigate this, but just, again, just a heads up, we'll keep bringing information back to
We should talk about, when you put in the center thing, then you can be more specific to the exact areas you want for water, and
Yeah.
that would be somewhat of a savings.
Yeah.
Is that a negligible amount, or is that a big enough amount to help, or?
Well, it can be, except for we've been very conservative underneath, so. Yeah, if we were going full force right now, we could definitely do a much more efficient job of that, but I mean, we've been pretty stingy with water because of all the pressure we have on us,
So
so.
it's not gonna be that.
Yeah, I mean, I would, if we use, here's the way I'd say it, if we use the same amount of water, it would be used a lot more efficiently. I don't know about using less water necessarily. That makes sense.
I think that need to make sure interface the system if you go to the well system.
That is what, yeah.
If you don't have that, can't make that interface, that's a good point.
That's why if we had Jacob with that Toro, we'll get everybody, before we do anything, everybody involved, we'll have something on. He's part of the process.
They put those VFDs in, you got VFD here, VFD here, you got the interface these things, they work correctly, when they come on, it would go off, or they maintain it is.
Yeah, I mean, before we do anything, signing contracts, paying, I would get someone from each part of this plan on site, we'd all need, everyone would agree to work with. So. Yeah.
Did Derek have any further comments? Whatever we can ask.
Yeah,
When he gets back, I just like to know the status of how they're digging.
yeah.
Did they stay with backhoe or did they bring a trencher in and start digging the trencher?
I saw a trencher,
I thought that was an easier way to dig that main, if you're going down, there's, you know, they go.
And then, yeah, that's a lot. So
Only place I'd seen was over by the shop. Actually,
They didn't have two backhoes, system, but two big green backhoes, but the buckets on them were like this, and what they're
yeah,
putting in is more of a trench type.
yeah, that pipe, the way they do it, they just trench it and roll it over.
So-
Just pushing in the hole.
well, he'll come out and he'll probably forget about it. If we're going to the irrigation, I'll kind of talk a minute before he gets in here.
Okay.
Yeah, so far, it wasn't a delay. It took a little bit longer than they hoped to get the wire in, and they went ahead and fused it. I don't
Yeah,
know.
all over the place.
Yeah, 2,000 something feet of pipe, to have it ready with, as soon as the wire came in, they didn't want to dig until they had everything ready to go on the ground. They started doing that, and from what I've seen, from what you've said, everybody's talked about, this crew is doing an awesome job. If they break something, it's fixed immediately. They've got tons of resources, a lot of people on site doing the work, and you can kind of talk a little bit about what you're.
They're top notch.
Yeah.
Jacob was out today and I reinforced it on that. We made the right decision.
Yeah.
Definitely. Not to say the other companies wouldn't have done a good job too, but.
Right.
I'm very happy. I mean, these guys all know what they're doing. And I mean, they're legit. And like they hit a main line today. And so I had to shut the system down. And you know, normally when I hit a main line, it takes me all day. See, he hit it at 11 o'clock and I had the irrigation back on at 3:30.
I didn't see you yesterday, but I was out there for a while yesterday. I was talking to one guy, I think they hit some guy came and grabbed a pipe and took it off. So, yeah, they were, they're doing a great job. I sent on Friday, I sent a drone out to take a bunch of footage and video. So as soon as I get that back, I was hoping to get today. As soon as I get that back, we're gonna blast it out to the membership. And I think it's good to kind of promote the progress that we're doing so they can see the work being done. And kind of just talk again about letting people know it's irrigation. Once it's done, nobody knows we did it. You know what I mean? And they don't realize how important that is. So I'm gonna make sure that's right in everybody's face as much as possible.
And the crew is very respectful. I mean, I can't say enough.
Have you started pulling pipe into the fairway, Dahlia Lake main line right now?
Yeah, they'll do the main line. They're on 4, actually, they're on 3 now. They went through 4 and 3 in a day and a half. That was with hitting the main line. And, they're gonna go back to 11, and then there's another main line that comes back over and ties in. And once they get half that, when they get that done, then they're gonna pull part of the crew and start pulling in. They'll do 14 green first. And then the fairway, 14 tee, then 4 green and 4, work that way that way. 8 and 9 will be the last 2.
Now they're trenching all this, I'm so I'm back on.
They're back on all the main line.
Okay, back on my trenching.
No. They would hit so much stuff. I mean, they hit stuff now, but it's not as often. You know, 'cause they're really, I mean, they've helped me find some stuff out there that I couldn't find. On some valves and isolation valves and stuff. So Victor, the superintendent out there, he's really good at locating stuff. Like he located that fiber optic that goes from my shop to the clubhouse. And we were concerned that that was gonna be able to be found. He found it, and found all the electrical wires coming from the shop to the clubhouse. I mean, he's got the whole main line. Found. Yeah, he's good. They have the equipment to find it.
The only place I've seen it work on the main line was over on 14 off from the shop, and they had a guy out there putting a measure down there, and he was making sure that that thing was at the depth required.
Yeah, because they're gonna tie into it next week with the valves so that they can, yeah.
Saturday, they were tamping down, I think it was a wall. We're tamping down, guys coming behind him and putting the side back in and stuff. You couldn't even hardly tell where they'd gone. I mean, it was almost seamless.
Yeah, they were over there.
And they're good, so we get a weekly, every Friday, we get a weekly update of everything they've done that week, what their plans are next week laid out. It's, they top notch. Yeah, top notch operation.
What kind of impact has it had on the, mountain?
Oh, no, so far.
Yeah, only thing that we've had to do was we had to move the T zone on 14 up to the fairway because the plan was to go along the side of 14, but then we would be going through the road. So we moved it to go around 14 because the road ends there and we just looped the main line where there was, the road ends there at 4. So that was just one less area that they had to cut through concrete and stuff. So we went in front of 14, so. Because they had a line yesterday on it, so we had to keep them up off of it, but they had that fixed within an hour. And so now there's nothing, they're back to on the regular T on.
Once they start the lateral, the thing in their contract is they can only quote them a whole lot of time. So they'll coordinate well in advance, we'll know what's going on, so we can communicate with Dahlberg and clubhouse and everything else. So it'll be very minimal.
Did they start removing any heads or any of that kind of thing? Yeah.
No. No, because they haven't even tied into. And then what they'll do there, to be able to keep both going is they will either use the isolation valve that goes to 14 green and just close it. They'll keep the water in the main line on they go down 14, so that it doesn't affect the rest of my system.
And also part of the contract on Saturday and Sunday, every hole has to be open. On Friday, we have to. All 18 holes. Yeah. Any other questions on the irrigation? Well, while you're here real quick, we can touch on that homeless, encampment and then, got an update last week that they were gonna post, I think early in the week, last week, they posted basically that everyone there has to be gone, and they sent it's an acronym, HOT, homeless, I don't know what it stands for, some task force. They come in, they try to, meet with all the people that are living down in there and figure out, every person's different, every situation's different, so they try to figure out what the best path to get them where, whatever help they need, whatever they can do for them. So they went through, and then the park department sent some crews out to clean up that area of 14. This sounds impossible, but I've verified it 15 times. Just on Friday, they pulled 22 tons of garbage and just random stuff out of there. And that, they said they not even scratched the surface.
They did it 50.
50 tons?
The whole side of the other side of that fence with the trash.
Wow, I didn't hear that yet.
That's disgusting.
So, what I've been told, the biggest area they had done so far was 17 tons of stuff, and that was over multiple days. And we're doing 4 times that every day, apparently.
I don't know if that was added together or not, because that was what the guys told me. I didn't know how you do that. I don't either.
So, anyway, they're, both. Those guys want to know that's a heck of a job to get them reading all that out.
They have barely made it in.
Yeah, it's bad, but there's progress. Still, nature just kept getting worse and worse and worse, and it become a safety issue. I have a lot of golfers saying, I'm not playing there again until, because they don't feel safe out there. So hopefully this is a step in the right direction, for sure. Hopefully it lasts. Then one thing that's kind of out of our control is the thing I get asked about all day, every day. Answer, just kept reporting.
So I called 4 times, and each time I get a phone call back saying, we're still trying to figure out what to do.
So, it's different back there now with a lot of people
That first day, it was like parting on the Red Sea. I mean, they were running across the dock.
really.
Yeah. And, yeah, it was funny. I mean, it was funny, but I haven't seen any of them since, but I guess there's still 2 camps right there next to our shop that people are still in. So I don't understand that. But I've just been leaving it alone.
Well, it's one of them there.
Yeah.
Let's see if they leave.
Right.
Let me go back. So,
But no, it's noticed.
okay.
Only thing I got to say is we appreciate all your efforts. I know it's a tough job to try to keep an eye on everything that's going on around you and still maintain the golf course. So my perspective, and I hope the board appreciate everything.
You're welcome.
Other than that, get on home.
See you back here tomorrow.
Oh, that's right. I'm like, what? Yeah, okay, that's right. We'll see you guys.
And hey, I know I sent him an email, if Joni can tell him if it works.
I already told her,
Okay.
so she'll be here. Yep. She's not missing a free lunch.
Oh, I gotta figure that out.
See you guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Darren.
Yep.
All right, haven't gone through the irrigation. Move on to all of the fairway.
Okay, so, with Mike's help, we, were able to secure, it's nearly 2 acres of zoysia sod from the sod farm. They're holding it for the basically, so we're ready for it. Darren, or not, sorry, not Darren, Dalton went out to number 18 alone and measured all the spots and doing it the right way. It was like 0.8 acres just on number 18, that we want to replace. So he's doing the rest of the course now. So I said, we're gonna eat through every bit of sod that we get. He did, if he played, and I haven't really gotten to go out and hit shots, but I looked at it like on the 18 right now, he did some seeding and some rye. I didn't see it coming in. I don't know how it is when you're playing. I've got to play it all, but you can definitely see a difference from, especially when you're up here, you can see the green in those spots instead of dirt now. We have contracted a company that's gonna come out, Skelly. Say it in May. Too many things. Anyway, when the weather's right, and they're gonna, plug the fairway, they're gonna, knock the fairways, airify them, get them opened up. And then we'll get on the fertilizer, get on the fertilizer hard, and then sod those bad areas, and hopefully by midsummer, we're in total different position than the fairways here. So that's, all those pieces are in place, now we just need weather.
I certainly plan, and the only reason I asked this is because I was doing some reading online at some of these superintendent sites, but they say that if they are just taking a knife and aerifying or whatever, they try to keep carts off of them for a couple of days so that it actually has an opportunity for the air and the moisture and fertilizer to get to the root system for a couple of days before it gets all this traffic on it again, just to mat it back down.
Those
Is
guys
there
are,
any
we'll
chance?
do probably a full week of cards on that, so we'll probably get them out Monday and Tuesday to do the work, and we can stay on off the path at least through the weekend, possibly through the weekend. Yeah.
It sounded like it was a good idea, just reading about it. I haven't heard it,
There will be some inconvenience during the course of that because you need to close down the hole that they're working on, otherwise you get nowhere.
So, yeah,
It's just a fact of life.
yeah, that'll be important, and it may be a case we shut down for 2 days and get it done.
It might be a nine.
Close down or something?
But yeah, or, yeah. That's, to me, that's no, close down, let them have full range, blow over to get it done, and close the other side, get it done. Right on that.
Haven't done it, it's a slow process. Any comments regarding that?
I think May timeframe is when it will be warm enough to do that and the sodding as well.
Yeah, one thing we're not basing our decisions around it, but we don't want to do it the week. It's a wildfire, so we're trying to kind of, either we're gonna do it before, or, we don't want them to come out here and we got, so, yeah, we have some other events, but that's the only one. So, kind of take a little picture they can.
Some of it would probably be predicated on what the sod farm can do, because what we're buying is all the remnants that they had from the field that been stripped on to create their new fields, or all the soil in the new fields. So we're getting everything that's left, patchwork in that other field, and we have to bring that out a little bit and what have you. So some of that would be versus what the availability is as they bring it back to condition that they can cut and roll. So
Yeah, but with zoysia, a lot of it isn't, a lot of it predicated on temperature.
zoysia,
You don't have to have it warm.
it's like Bermuda grass, it's a warm season grass, it's a slow grower, so. You know, everybody talks about fertilizer, zoysia doesn't work like Bermuda grass, but fertilizer on Bermuda grass, it responds pretty actively versus zoysia, it does not do that. So excessive fertilizer doesn't create better, faster growth. It just doesn't work.
One other thing, kind of on that topic, I'll give you all one of these, and Marcia and Jesse, I'll email you this. It's just a list of all of our events, but on that has the verification dates too, and that's also on the website, the app, and then also I'll give you all, if you haven't seen it yet, the new golf guide for this year, it's got the info in it, so all those things are in there, but the verification dates are set every year for the green, so you have those.
Unnecessary first tee update.
Accidentally. Yeah, basically, you know, they're planning on moving in, having a big grand opening in May. I'll send an email out to coordinate a time for hopefully all of you to come by and take a tour, look at it. It looks neat. I was in there today. It looks, now that they've got it complete, it's pretty neat to see. What's that?
What's the date?
The date. Well, I'll send an email.
Oh, okay.
I talked to him today and he said,
Okay.
I want to do it back, you all just pick a date in April and like that. So, yeah.
The exterior, I've not been on the inside, but the exterior looks pretty progressive.
The rain was on today on the side of the building, which was about to laugh. It looks good. The inside, there's a huge putting green in the library, the four bays that open up, and it's pretty neat. Cool.
So it's not open yet, right?
Nothing, no. They're gonna move in this week. Grand opening is, he said, first part of May, I think he said, like their official room, packing and all that, so.
They'll be open before that.
They'll probably do some stuff in there, yeah. But they definitely stressed that they would love to have you guys come out. Okay. Can you pull up the slide, the last slide on the bottom? So the next, if we're good, the next item, is the range, the team plan here for Auburn. Got those renderings, I crossed out, trying to put the building out there, which I think would be fantastic. The building was 17,000, the concrete was 17,000 roughly, and I thought, okay, this is coming together really good. Got quoted the electrician, $90,000 to get power, to just have a light switch. It's the craziest thing I've ever heard, so. Whatever, I took this morning, this is that first tee, and this is what they just added in the back, so they have the garage doors that they hit out of, they also put the mats on the outside. Now, the one closest to us, they have, obviously, they have the mat, the actual mat in between, but a couple of different ways you could do it. I want to get this done pretty quick, obviously, we're gonna pour concrete. The thing is, do we want to like have turf across the entire thing, or just mats with concrete in between? There's a little cost difference, but it's not astronomical. The stuff around the outside is not that expensive, but it probably does look a little better. I was at Flint last weekend and there's the 4 mat sections. So they have multiple sections, and there's 4 mats on each section. So if we wanted to go across the back or across the front of the range, how we want to do it, we can do it in sections, or we can just have one continuous strip. I wanted to get some feedback from you. I don't know that there's really benefit one way or the other as far as performance or anything. It's just kind of aesthetically. I would like to get a minimum of 15, potentially more than that if we're. And there's 30 people on that range.
Thinking of like morning or whenever set up might be easier on crew if it's all just.
One straight session.
When you set your tee up for mornings, what's the availability, or at least that, how many spots, tee spots are there that you set it up now with your brothers?
The entire thing is about 100 yards, and you got, so probably
50 yards, half of it,
yeah,
it's not quite half.
not probably 40 yards.
Ride that by 10, maybe 12.
You've got about 30, 26, the way I measured out the mats, it'd be 26 spots out there. Now, a lot of days they're on both sides of the road for 20
Yeah,
people on
well,
both sides.
Yeah,
So
it's usually
Yeah.
outside.
Yeah.
So many people.
It's amazing how many people ride the
Now,
ball.
granted, this is not, a lot of times during the course of playing season, you're basically up on the grass versus when it's cold, back on the mats. I mean, you're talking all season stuff here. So you think,
Or, I mean, like, at back, we do 2 days a week, we go to mats just to give that grass a break.
well, man, you don't have any room at Mac, you got
Right.
a much larger tee out here than a Pawnee boat, but
I remember seeing.
They beat it to death.
Big beach.
Yeah, yeah, you can work on some summer stuff.
Yeah, it's so tore up that I think you need to get on the mats for a while just to give it time to recover.
Yeah, I think that'd be great, once the warm weather really hits.
Yeah.
That we get mats in, back, everybody back there for a couple of months.
Even look at.
well,
Place.
it's the shape.
Yeah, I would say more the better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would almost go along, whole like that cart path down there and put it in that walk. And then think on the later, you're gonna expand it, you're gonna put more mats in and more mats in, it's, I mean,
Thing.
Take it
On
one
the back,
end
if we're not doing the building, you think do it on the back or the front?
Back.
I would do it on the back.
Don't let it walk across and start hitting balls off the grass when it's closed.
Yeah, and just for maintenance purposes too, so you don't have to go around all 4 sides when you're maintaining that.
Yeah.
You can just go around 3 sides and you're done, just for Dalton's crew.
Did you get a number for team? Concrete and dirt and.
No, the concrete, no, I've got to redo that, just got that back. So the concrete for the building and everything and 85 feet for 15 mats was 17,000. So now we're not doing the building. And I'm gonna guess it's going all the way across.
17,000, plop it on the other.
Yeah, I think probably, we'll say 25, and then the mats are 320 piece, what we're looking at.
That would be, it's expensive, but that text only because you don't have the width there, but you got it. Although that should still get the same all the way across.
If I've got the contact for the people that did this, I don't know what you think, we do the turf all the way around with the mats in the middle, or if we just put mats?
Aesthetically, I like that,
Yeah,
but
Does it, with just the concrete, make it different for, I remember you talking about those mats that you can rotate. I mean, I'm sure you can do it all.
not if you do it like that, these are made where they can rotate, so the ones that already exist, that are down there, they're made in, those are, and they're wore out already, they're not completely.
You gotta be able to rotate.
Yeah, doing it like this, our ranges in Virginia were some of the busiest in the country. They had, we rotated every week, we did a quarter turn. They had T spots all the way around, so we had it broken down with 110 spots and double deckers and all that. We broke it down, we did a quarter, at a time. So we just get on a schedule like that, it wouldn't be that hard at all.
Would it be that difficult to get a quote, bid, whatever, for just the mats and then one with?
Well, yeah, I could do that, yeah. Yeah, I'll probably send that out in an email because this doesn't necessarily need to go, I just like to get opinions and go from there, so.
It's already been loaded for the.
It's not a public requirement, it's just, I want to go through that from you, so. Yeah, I'll send that in an email when I get those quotes, I'll work on that, tomorrow afternoon. I'll have them come back out and do that. Actually, you may not have to come back out, I can probably get that since it was already here, and probably an aerial.
Yeah, you just loaded the yardage.
Yeah.
Done on the square
It came like
footage.
something, 2 pictures and same thing, how it would work. Yep, we can do that.
how wide is that from where we see concrete up to the other end of the
The
asphalt?
mat is 5, so you're, 7 or 8 feet, that mat may be a 6, those are big mats, that may be a 6-foot mat actually, so I'll measure that also tomorrow, but it's, I think it's a 6-foot mat with a foot front and back, so 8 foot wide.
Doesn't, thinking of the range out of Auburn, the carpet out kind of curves.
Yeah.
But they would pin and tie into it though, and put like a 2-degree slope on it so the water rolls off.
Well, I'm
It's
just
easy,
thinking about.
easier, and that's not our project. It's just concrete, it's small to the back.
Yeah.
You always have to run into the grass, don't run into the grass, run into the grass.
Yeah, if you make sure your drains work, that's great.
They got
But it's a 2-degree slope, you hardly even notice it's like flat. It's nothing.
Yeah, I'll get those quotes both ways. I don't think they'll be much. I mean, basically that stuff, it's like laying cheap carpet. It's not that big of an expense.
Why don't you go off? You cut.
Yeah, right. Okay, well, I'll work on that. Okay, you can shut that down. I'll get those out and, you know, 'cause I really don't want to wait until the next meeting to toss them that out.
Well, yeah, but it was good, left it up like the other guys, I'd like to see, us get them in and then shut that T down until you get some surface established, because it is the sand.
Yeah.
Peak season coming up, it's pretty floods.
Okay.
Okay, moving on. League registration form, which.
Next item is the lead registration form, nothing new. Basically, you have a copy of it. The only thing I added is what we voted on before you guys said on last time. I've had conversations with a lot of people, but I haven't implemented this yet. I want to get this in place, let you guys look over it, and then we can forward. And then thinking about this, I mean, let's say the guys that play 5 days a week, they get 2 little guaranteed. They can still play the other 3 days. They just have to wait till that 7-day window and then book the team. I mean, it's just not allowing them to have those booked all year round. So I don't think that's not really going to hinder them that much. I've talked to them that said that's the way they've done it for a long time. So they're okay. But this just basically goes over everything I said. Gives me the information I need to know that they are a league, states the rules of that, follow it, and sign it. Once they are, we'll start a record of all the registered leagues, and until they're on that register, they're not getting any tee times in advance, so.
So we have to be on the website too, that thing on the website where all the leagues are listed on there. With that or written, or I don't know.
That was not part of the vote, we talked about it, but it wasn't put into that. I was just talking about, I'm gonna keep once they submit this, I'll put together a shared form, like file, where all the golf pros can access and see who's a registered league or not. So, and I'll attach each one of these forms to that, so they can, so everyone will have it.
There's no real requirements like here for what league is. I'll see it. And we talked about
12.
Yeah, well, we talked about having, bylaws, things like that, all those things we talked about, none of that's here. No, what does constitute a league then?
Right. Yeah, and I've got that in the minutes from last meeting, I'll add that on here.
Okay.
I just wanted to let you guys know that's plenty to. My head, we're changing the rates on the first, we're doing it, so just kind of April 1st is gonna start looking for all new things. Questions or comments, concerns about that? Sorry, I should have forgot to look out, I thought that was actually in the first paragraph, I should have read it. Okay.
New business, call situation with already kind of gone over, almost, all over that. Anybody else have anything that they'd like to discuss? Regards to what you'd like to see done and or anything that's going on.
Trevor's got a little, or not a little, he's got his update, not gonna do anything for all of it.
Right now, but verification's coming up on the 1st and the 2nd for the green, y'all are talking about fairways.
Yeah.
So that's coming up. April's not so much as busy with tournaments, as much as it is leagues, and in May, we have a lot going on.
I did play out here Monday. I was out here Monday. The playing part wasn't part of it. It's already starting to look at good A's on. Barring any unfortunate weather, you can go down into the high 20s, not being it much. It's tougher than review grass. I've seen nothing to indicate we're going to get any damage from cold weather. So
When you say A's, do you mean it's getting like a 10 of green kind of coming down?
The other 10, and so especially on the tee boxes where you're beating down pretty bad, you don't have any residual grass, That grass is on top of it. I mean, you can see a real green haze on that. So a couple of them were kind of beat up and maybe a spot or two. We have to do something.
I mean, our tees need just like a fairway, they need to be fairly paved.
Going back to the range, what's that machine? First time I've seen it is here. I actually don't remember seeing it in Texas. It looks like he's verticutting, but is it a cedar that was called?
Yeah.
It's just dragging
Yeah.
cuts. He did that to the range today. Go back to the range.
Oh, dude.
So that should help out there. Get some,
It actually, it's a they can carry the verticals down
And
and
we'll get some spring rains.
you get when they build them, they get them. Try to line up the seed crop where it dropped right into that slot.
I thought it was verticutting because it looks like verticut.
So, yeah, well, it's all the same. I'm assuming it had the one with the box on the back of it.
Yeah. So he did that to the range.
We think
He was doing right. Now, heading on the back, when I play, I see a lot of seed coming up in the roughs.
Mhm.
And in fact, that's the best I've seen. Yeah, roughs, I would guess he would be using pesky bluegrass out there. I don't know. Sure. Because, that would be my guess. I couldn't tell you for sure.
Man, Saturday,
But there was a lot of germination on the stuff.
Saturday, I thought the greens were about as good as I'd seen them in quite a while.
Heard that from several people.
I think they mowed the previous week, and so after they mowed them, and kind of, they just seem to be rolling pretty good, it's still a little bumpy, but
You can't get fooled because it beat the heck out of this one practice green out here in the field. That's undulation. Under north practice green out
Probably
there.
talk about,
Well, I'm saying, out here, you don't get it, you get on this putting green out here, you can't stop the ball, once you get out on the golf course. It's all different.
shit, I don't practice putts.
yeah.
And you hit it to a foot every time you out.
Practice button.
See your name, on it. All I get's 80 footers. That's after I shank it up. Okay. Any other comments?
Yeah, I'll go through my update if we're ready for it.
Okay, let's get it on.
So I'll start with the food and beverage side of things. We should have the new 5-year contract with Pepsi written out. It's with legal right now, by the end of the week.
We did re-up with Pepsi then.
Yes, they were actually the only company to submit an RFP, so kind of what we had to work with. We will have a 11,500 yearly rebate, which is just gonna be a check they cut for us at the end of the year. Given we meet the volume requirements, we kind of blow out of the water, so that's no issue. Another thing with that is, I believe 15 cases that they will donate for events, 50 cases. And water, I know in previous years we've used it for water for events that we have, like the appreciation days where they don't pay anything and they can have some water. So that's still in place. We're making sure that the service and replacing coolers was in the terms as well. So all the coolers that we have in all the clubhouses, they're actually Pepsi's that they let us use for being with them, which is awesome. And one of the biggest things is they drop prices on bottled soda, Gatorade, and water bottles, and those are by far the 3 biggest things that we've ordered from them. Going back to the F&B slide, red numbers, that should help cut into those red numbers just a little bit. One more thing I didn't put on here, the digital menus, they are up and going. Along with that, updated prices, food, beer, everything, just to meet the industry-wide standards for public golf courses.
Question real quick.
Yeah.
No, we lost the mountain drinks at McDonald. Are we looking at doing that on the other courses or are they maintaining enough?
They're maintaining volume at the other 3 that they'll keep their Pepsi or their fountain machines at the 3 other courses. They aren't looking to add it back.
So he told me that if we're not doing enough out there, just by having a machine, they already have one, so they're okay with it. At Mac, when we did the remodel, that machine was right in the middle of that space, and it's right, we couldn't really do anything with that thing. So we took it out, all of the bags were expired, all of the bags of soda were expired. Pepsi, we called them, they sent us a report, we weren't doing nearly enough. So we took that out. Same price to get a cup of ice and
20 ounce and you got extra, you can win it or whatever. So we went that route. I wouldn't mind going that route all the way around. So it's employees use the fountain drink.
Like they use it more than selling.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't want to see us just turning product back and costing us, I mean, that doesn't make sense.
You know how much they're selling you the bag in the box, Pepsi?
I wouldn't say the new price is like right around 75 from 65. So the bag in the boxes actually went up in price. They didn't go down in price. Yeah, I did. Yeah, but the bottles we get from them, bottled soda, so Pepsi, Mountain Dew, all that stuff, that's cheaper. The Gatorade.
So we're going $32 a case to $24 a case. Buying 18 cases, that's a chunk.
Yeah.
The fountain, yeah, worry about the CO2.
And the maintenance on them, the cleaning the heads, the making sure it's full of ice, it's,
Has it been in consideration to going to cake beer, on the other side? I know we talked about it way, way back.
Yeah, we thought about it here. We even had to buy like a pickle kind of, like, kind of space back there, which
And the waste is unbelievable. The foam,
Oh,
make sure you get it.
Not cost effective.
Unless you sell them.
no, in Missouri, the girls at Fort Valley, where they wouldn't let me make a beer. I mean, I tried, I did exactly what they did. It was all foam.
Yeah.
I couldn't never.
That's a lot of problems with those. Once you're gonna go fill it from the bottom, like, but then you can invest in plastic.
Right.
Yeah, that's all it's the same problem, you had to try and get diet sodas.
Right.
Up some of that.
That's too much. Do you, talk to any of the beer providers to do some kind of special beer?
I haven't, but that's a great idea. You're talking about more of the local places
Yeah, like, well,
or
like
anywhere.
LDF or House of Schwan and all that stuff.
Right,
Do you buy direct from them?
we do.
Yeah, they should give you some kind of special promotions and stuff like that. A lot of the beer, I don't know if that's okay with the city.
Yeah, and they do, normally when they come in, they'll tell us about, we've got this promotion, we're pushing this, we're doing whatever. So we did a lot of that. over the last-
Nuggets and banners and.
Oh, that kind of stuff, yeah. Yeah, they got the umbrellas that we have out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, they do.
They work pretty good with it, so.
Yeah.
Reps are all pretty.
Pretty good.
Any more questions on the food and beverage side of things?
This will go to council to get approved, first week of April, I would assume. So we'll have that contract in place middle of April for sure.
Is the park using Pepsi too?
Yeah.
They used Coca-Cola for years.
No, they have Pepsi. We obviously do way more volume than they do.
Yeah.
Their contract's set up a little bit different because they don't get requirements and some of the stuff we do. Yep.
And then just a quick marketing update. Cop Media, they're a advertising firm that specializes in hitting targeted audiences. So we have a targeted campaign going towards men and women 25 to 44. That's kind of the membership, that adult membership is what we're trying to push for. Fox Sports, they have 4 or 5 different 15-second ads. We have one that's focused on the improvements we've made. We have one focused on our memberships. We have another one that's focused on kind of our group programming, and then our last one's our junior programming. Those are on after some of the bigger things are like NASCAR races, a couple college games,
Live golf, college,
live golf,
IndyCar. It's all during sports.
the Fox Sports commercial section, basically. And then I wanted to point out our last ad campaign that's finished is for our text turmoil. You can see here it reached 250,000 people. And this was using right around $200. So reaching 250,000 people, we ended up getting about 1,200 link clicks. And that means that they were going all the way to the registration site, basically. I don't have the analytics once we get to that site. So as far as, I don't have the conversion numbers, but the events are filling up quick.
Yeah,
So
good work.
yeah, they're working. And the numbers for the Shamrock Scramble were very similar. We actually had to cut the campaign short because we filled up faster than we thought. So we only used about half the budget there, so
And this was not even public. Year ago. So it's, marketing is working, people are interested, they're clicking on things, so that's what we want.
biggest thing is golf still, the demand for golf, especially in Wichita, these are area numbers. So it's just from our area of Kansas. It's, the demand's still going up, so that's great news for us. Yeah, that's all I got.
But
And part of what he and I have been talking about, we put out a couple videos last week, but we're gonna get more, get these guys to do more videos, to be more, a little bit more personable. We talked about this last year and then whatever. Yeah, no, yeah, it's familiar. But I think making that connection, so when they show up to the course, you know, it's not just, this is my golf course, I'm just saying, oh, that's my guy. Kind of build that connection, build that relationship with the customers. I think that's important. So we've got a whole list of things that we want to, we're gonna look like idiots, so that's fine, that's important. So, have fun with it. Okay,
any further business?
okay.
I was gonna ask, what was the schedule on the sand traps that we're gonna do? Dates?
He started, he started filling some of the bunkers that needed sand. It's the meeting, we're starting to work on it now. Okay, yes, now. Yeah, so now what he's done exactly. Yeah. Last week I was so close to getting ready for this Shamrock Travel, so, but yeah, it's now.
One other thing, I just have to. I know we cut the trees down over Mac, the status on the tree, because of the wind blowing the way it is. And I'm curious,
Forrester's been there the last 2 days. They were there today when I was there. They're coming out. And he's identified all the dangerous trees. John Bacon, the head of forestry, they're working together. I mean, he knows with them constantly about as soon as he gets people where they can go. It's kind of one of his primary places where I got a crew building with him at. So every week he's been 1 or 2 days sending crews out there. So they're slowly going through. They were there Friday all day. They were there yesterday and today.
cut a lot of it down. When I was out there last Thursday, I saw.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sam would need some attention there too.
Yeah, Sam's taking a bit bad.
So the key is that you don't like a tree in a certain location, it's black X or the red.
No.
Anyway. Forestry's healthy, I don't know. See, Robert,
They think that they can get through what we consider to be dangerous trees, and then again, we were always looking at that and go outside and get a lot of that done.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Ron's done a really good job of staying in contact with them, so, and Seth does a lot of his in-house.
Yeah.
Seth will think that would be our, we're already figure out the plan there. We had a lot come down Friday, or whatever day that was last week. Yeah. When
I was worried, to tell you the truth.
Forestry was out there with their chipper, and we had staff going out, just picking up and bringing them, while they were doing their thing, we would just run under the chipper. Yeah. Yeah. Slow process, and it's not one you want to delay, but we're trying to do as fast as we can.
I just appreciate them getting in there and trying to do everything.
Oh.
Because I'm nervous about trees.
Mac, I think you had texted me about the, greenskeeper position. I think.
Yeah.
But it's still open. We've had a few applicants that weren't qualified, so we've been putting together an employment, yes, I've asked you to do it, an employment campaign, marketing campaign, to try to get more people, with everyone specific to here, to this maintenance. We've already got signs that you've seen across the aisle. We've had some hits on that. He's actually got it here. And then we're gonna push for that position specifically. It's a bigger position. So, Darren's had some luck. He's slowly getting people through, which it takes a month to action though, but he's got some applicants here. And then he's sees them all come across his desk, so we're Better right now than we were this time last year. We're not good, but we're better. We actually have a few parts on.
Still not much luck with improving how quickly they can get them to personnel.
Sometimes if time is just right, they're a little bit quicker, but no. No. Hey, I hired a lot for it. That's gonna work for a month. Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna meet with finance next week and HR together. I think that's on next week, one day to try to get into this conversation about on seasonal versus part-time employees and the pay. I'm pushing so hard and starting to maybe get a little bit of traction on trying to separate golf since we're in enterprise, having our own positions, our own pay scale. And letting this board have more input on what we pay people so we can actually hire some people.
Because of the
The
second,
only fat capacity that we're gonna have is.
I was overlooking at the work on Center Park, ran into Jason there. Felt for, tell you what, this kid jumped in whole hog.
Oh, he's great. Yeah, Jason's been.
Not only is he doing a lot of intensive and good work for us, but he's also kind of seemed to be expanding his horizon in terms of trying to be more golf oriented in terms of how he does his work.
He has the best personality we could ask for. He's trying to just learn it. I mean, he's an awesome mechanic. And now, just like you said, he's doing everything he can. He's doing stuff online. He went to that conference. He's trying to enroll as much stuff he can to get more golf specific. Fine tuning and all the stuff that we do. And there's, man, 4 or 5 things that Ron had a brush that he was trying to get an issue with and kind of explain the problems. So Jason, he didn't think about this, come up with an idea and build him this brush. It looks like we paid $5,000 for it. It's awesome. The sprayer at Sim, you can't really see, so he reared these lights up and put them on there so they don't go out. They just look right where you need to spray. I mean, give him a situation and say, I need a solution, and he'll figure it out. And he's great so far.
Good art.
Yep. I do need to get him a pickup. We're trying to see how this would work. He bounces around a lot, going to get stuff, and these guys use their trucks a lot, so I'm looking at right now, trying to find a good use, like a combat on him.
So you're gonna let us do that?
Yeah, I figured it out. It took me a little bit of rehearsing, but we can, we have a contract. I can buy a new one for $30,000. I'm looking right now, in case of that. I went last week and test drove several. Some used ones to see if that's the way we want to go, but yeah, there's a contract to buy a new one. There's a contract in place with the city. That compact size truck is, we're down to having $30,000. That's either a Colorado or a Ford Ranger. Syndicate. Apparently all trucks now are syndicate. I didn't know that. So I'm trying to decide if we can find a really good used one or if I just want to find it.
Well, there were times when they didn't have to have specialized equipment, A, B, and C. or
Yeah.
whatever the case may be.
I had his tools that we can carry around, stuff that he uses every day, so. Yeah, he needs it. We got a small welder, he's already used that thing like crazy. If we can send him for a project, but he's good for that type of welder, so, yeah, he's been great, very nice.
That's gonna help everything. So, anybody else got any other business questions, ideas? Not, entertain a motion. Second. All in favor, say aye. Thanks, Jesse.
Watch basketball now? Who's playing?
Remember the first one, I'm not sure if I was playing in the second one.